Baruchim Abayim Mishpacha. Ani Samech Lihiot Bo. May the Most High bless each and every one of you. I am glad to be here. Welcome, one and all. This is Yom Arba'ah, or Yom Arvi'i. For those who want to say the fourth instead of day 4, may the Most High bless you, keep you, smile upon you. May you rejoice in this moment. I know, like me, you've been through your whole day, and now you get to this moment. And hey, I am rejoicing in it. I'm rejoicing in the fact that we are here in this moment. So we're going to be talking about Bereshit chapter 4, as well as we're going to, be talking about something that I mentioned on the last time I was here on Shabbat Morning Coffee. We're going to be talking about alcohol instead of coffee. Going to be talking about that. Be right back.
Malkia Uriel. See, I have this day set thee over the nations and over the kingdoms, to root out and to pull down, to destroy and to throw down, to build and to plant.
All right, we are back, and yes, as always, we come before the Most High. We celebrate Him. He is the reason that we are alive. He is the reason that I exist. Without Him, I would not exist. And so we give all praise to Him. We magnify Him in this time. I just simply want to say that, as we always do, we reach out and we begin to magnify Him through prayer as well as through praise. We are Hebrews that have the ability to get into scriptures, and we can dig deep and we can thump the word and fan through pages. But this is something also that we do. We do acknowledge the Most High, and we open up our hearts unto Him. And so let's go ahead and let's do that, even in this moment, even in this time. Baruch atah Yahweh atah yada she'anachnu ha'am shenabrit shelech. Baruch atah. Baruch atah b'hashemayim, Baruch atah b'haaretz, Baruch atah b'kol ha'olam Yahweh, atah melech ha'olam. Blessed are you, Most High. We thank you, we bless you, we honor you, we praise you. You know that we are the people of your covenant, and we bless you. Blessed are you in the heavens, in the earth, and in all of the universe. We bless you and we praise you. We give unto you the praise, because you are worthy to be praised in all things. And so we acknowledge you in even this, our day and our daily path that we've traveled. We thank you for bringing us to this moment where we are now. We would ask that you would open up our hearts and open up our ears, at least assist us in opening up our hearts and our ears. We ask that you would be with us in this study. We ask that you would help us to understand that we now do not know, and that causes us to potentially stumble. May you help us to gain an understanding, see the light, and to walk in your truth, Yahweh. You are blessed. We thank you. We honor you. And I lift up every family member before you. I lift up our sister, our dear sister, Our sister Penny, we lift her up before you. May she be continually growing healthy and strong, and may her health, may it be mighty. May it be strong. May it last her for years upon years and decades upon decades to come. And bless as well her husband Joshua. We pray your blessings on every family member here. Every family member here. Those that I can name, those that I cannot name. Of course, I name my brother Bergen Paris and his family. There's so many that I could name, y'all. Bless each and every one of them, and also those that will hear. אנחנו עומדים לפניך שהעיניים, גם האוזניים, הם פתוחים לפניך, יאו. אנחנו פה ללמד האמת שלך, יאו. We are here to learn your truth. And so we thank you. In your name and in your word alone. Aman wa aman. Well, we are thankful for this opportunity to be here, and you know what? We are going to magnify him and give him praise. Yep, and we're going to do it by going to, I don't know, we haven't done this psalm in quite a while. But let's go ahead. We're going to go in. This is Psalm 111, verses 2 and verses 3. Here we go. We're going in right now. Works of your own, they are great, great, great. Sound of all of them that have pleasures therein, therein. His work is honorable. His work is honorable, honorable. His work is glorious, yes. His work is glorious, glorious. And his righteousness endures. His righteousness endures forever and ever and ever, 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 the works of your own, they are great, great, great. Sought out of all of them, and the pleasure therein, therein, therein. His work is honorable. His work is honorable, honorable. His work is glorious, yeah. His work is glorious, glorious. And his righteousness endures. It endures forever, 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 ever, ever. All right, I want to keep that up. I really do. I really want to keep that up. But, hey, we know that we've got a lesson to get into. Let me tiptoe into the chat room and let me greet some of the family that are there, all right? All right, peace and blessings to each and every one of you that are here. Yep, we're so glad that you're here. Yep, my day one, my brother from another mother. Yep, right here. And I'm so glad. I'm so glad that He is here. I'm so glad that, man, I've just been blessed with the presence of a beautiful angel that I feels. Let me listen. Somebody gonna say, I hear somebody laughing back there. I hear somebody. Well, hey, peace and blessings to you, my brother Bergen Paris, and to my brother George Evans. Glad that you're here. Hey, y'all, Christine Croning is up in the house, y'all. Yeah, and she says, Shalom, Malki Uriel, and to my family. Yes, we greet you as well. And as well, we've got Josh and Penny. We know that my brother Bergen Paris, he is the chief moderator. But my brother Josh and my sister Penny, they are, yes, they are as well moderators, and they help him out. And they make a dynamic team, and I'm so glad that they are helping me. The Most High has blessed me with them, and them being able to help me. It means a lot to me. It really does. And hey, let me keep it going here. Let me keep it going. Also, we have with us, we've got Yah Only Tanakh Study. As well, we've got, who else did I miss? Did I miss anybody? Okay, you know what? I know that there's others that are watching that have decided not to tiptoe into the chat room. Maybe they will. Maybe they will get an opportunity. Maybe they will get an opportunity to come into the chat room. Listen, I say it all the time. You're welcome. This is a place where, we're family. We love you. And believe me when I tell you, we will not bite unless you bite first. So we want to go ahead and just get into our lesson. We're going to be talking about some things. Now, listen, I'm gonna talk. Listen, let me readdress something, because last time when I was on for Shabbat morning coffee, I did mention. I said that it was not only okay for Hebrews to drink alcohol, but I also mentioned. Yes, I said that it's okay. That we could get drunk. Now, I by no means wanted to say, hey, I'm giving you a license. Not that you need a license from me, but I did not want to put forth the idea that I'm condoning drunken behavior, because I'm not. However, I must stand flat-footedly and speak the truth when it comes to the word of the Most High. And I must tell you that even though the Most High does not say, if you get drunk, it's a sin. No, he did not say that. However, we do, and I'm going to go over a couple of scriptures, we do see in the scriptures where it is not advised for an individual to become literally out of control with alcohol. Okay? By the way, peace and blessings to my sister who is in the house. Chanaya Israel is in the house. Bless her. May the Most High bless you and your husband. Glad that you are here, my sister. Glad to see you come in. She didn't slam the door. She just politely tiptoed into the chat room and then said, hey, I'm here. And so we want to continue here with these scriptures, and let's get into these scriptures. I want to show you some scriptures that relate to alcoholic beverages, just real quick, and then we're going to get into what we can of Genesis 4. Looking at the scriptures and looking at Genesis, I'm sorry, I want to go to Genesis 4 already, don't I? No, looking at what the Most High is telling us and letting us see here. He's letting us see some things in the Tanakh, okay? But notice, when it comes to drinking and alcohol, there are some examples that we get. Number one, we get examples from Noah, right? And when you take a look at it in Genesis, Bereshit 9, verses 20 through 27, it reads, and Noah began to be an husbandman, and he planted a vineyard, okay, and he drank of the wine, and he was drunken, okay? He was drunk, and he got so drunk that he kind of got out of his clothes, right? Now listen, if you're that drunk and you're getting out of your clothes and you're walking around naked, then I think you've had too much. I mean, I could be going out on a limb, but I'm just going to say, if you are stripping yourself, okay, and you know that others can come into that place where you are, right? If a person is at home in their living room and they know that they have family members coming in and out, and they strip themselves of all of them clothes, all of their clothes, because they're drunk, I would say that you've had too much, right? I would definitely say that you've had too much. Now, looking at this, we see that Noah got drunk, right? And we know the story that they pin concerning this, and the supposed, and by the way, it is, I'm sorry, I just got to say it is propaganda. It's propaganda against the Canaanites, and it gives an excuse, if you will, for the subjugation of the Canaanites. This whole story is, I believe that it was placed therein by, the would-be adherents to what our modern day rabbinical Judaism is, and I think that it was done on purpose to justify, taking over the Canaanites and so forth and so on. This whole, this person did it, Ham did it, but I'm gonna, yeah, I'm sorry, I have to call it like I see it, and until someone can show me differently, I think I'm gonna stand right there. But the point is not to talk about that, but rather to talk about the drunkenness of Noah. And in this is an example for us to see that when an individual is drunk out of their mind, they are exactly that. They are out of their mind. And so, yes, they can be taken advantage of, as we'll see in these scriptures. And yes, they will not only be taken advantage of, but they could do some things that are highly inconvenient, if you know what I mean. Well, let's take a look at another, because you talk about something being a hot mess. We go to Bereshit, the 19th chapter. In Bereshit, the 19th chapter, we see where, Lot's daughters, who weren't drunk, thought that every man on the whole planet had died, and they was like, we need to preserve seed. In other words, we need to preserve, we got to keep our family line going. So what they said was, hey, okay, we're going to go ahead and do this. We're going to get our father so drunk that the first night I'm going to sleep with him, and the second night you're going to sleep with him. And so these two girls supposedly did this in Genesis, the 19th chapter. If we take a look at it, what does it read? 30 through 38. And Lot, poor soul. I mean, how do you live that down, right? I mean, and Lot went up out of Zoar and dwelt in the mountain, and his two daughters with him, for he feared to dwell in Zoar, and he dwelt in a cave, he and his two daughters. Now, let me just say here, and see, I'm not going to give a long commentary concerning this, but I said before that it seems like his daughters may have thought that they were the only individuals, that there were no other men on the planet, but basically they could have gone to another city, they could have gone someplace else, they didn't have to do what they did. I'm just going to leave it right there. And the firstborn, the older, said to the younger, okay, the oldest girl said to the younger girl, our father is old, and there is not a man in the earth to come in unto us after the manner of all the earth. In other words, ain't nobody left. There's absolutely no one left on the planet, no other men, right? So yeah, we got to do this. This is just what we got to do. Come, let us make our father drink wine, and we will lie with him, that we may preserve seed of our father. And they made their father drink wine that night, and the firstborn went in. Now, let me just say, if it was really true that there were no other men on the planet, so she thought, why were they afraid to go to the other city? Okay, well, that's okay. Let's just leave that right there. But wait a minute. If it was really true that there were no other men on the face of the earth, as she supposed, why did she have to get him drunk? I mean, wouldn't that have been not that I would condone it, right? But I'm just saying, if you were trying to save the human race, and we must do this to save the human race, we must save the human race. Well, I mean, man, why not have a very sober conversation about it, right? Unless you know beyond the shadow of a doubt that they would have said no in the first place, okay? I'm not going to tell you what this might seem like. I know it sounds like it's a mistake. I know that this is a story. And for those of you that would say, well, I don't know, this is kind of too deep for me, I couldn't do it. Well, I mean, hey, remember what I shared with you before, that in the beginning, when you had just families dwelling in the earth, the first taste of the world and all the wickedness thereof, in parentheses, when you got a taste of the world, you gained that taste of the world through your family. Okay? Case in point, look at the first family themselves, Adam and Eve and Cain and Abel, right? Cain ended up killing Abel. Now, if Abel could have been brought back, I'm sure he probably would have said, man, I never thought I'd experience such wickedness at the hand of my own brother. But guess what? The first portrait of the world is the portrait that we get from our family, okay? Our family members. That's why you got some family members that are goofy, some family members that are stuck on stupid. So, I mean, you get a portrait of the world in all of its craziness and all of its antics. You have that right up in your family. I do too, right? I've got some family members I would not dare leave my wallet around. I would not dare leave any, you know what I'm saying? We all have those family members, right? Well, family members are the first taste of the world, and so if it's in the world, then there is a member of our family that is going to be donning whatever apparel that is. And so with that being the case, yeah, we see it right here where, yeah, sister girl, daughter number one and daughter number, and now this was daughter number one's idea. Hey, I don't know what the real reasoning is, because it doesn't make sense for the they to fear. Now, it's impossible. Now, I'm sorry, I'm just going to go here for a second. If Lot feared going into Zoar, as he told the angels, let me back up here. Lot told the angels, he said, look, man, I ain't trying to go to no Zoar. Are you crazy? I ain't going to, if you want to save my life, then don't send me to no Zoar. Look at verse number 22. It says, haste thee, escape there, for I cannot do anything till thou be come there. Therefore, the name of the city was called Zoar. So when you look at that, okay, and it says that, yeah, he reigned and so forth and so on, and so Lot went up to Zoar and dwelt in the mountain, he and his two daughters. Now, they called it that, right? And I apologize. They called that city where he was escaping to Zoar. But there was a place where Lot said that he didn't want to go, and that's the place that I'm referring to, where there would have been men, okay? Now I'm going to have to find it since I'm talking about this, and I know, this is not our subject. But anyway, here we go. Here we go in verses 16, Genesis 19 and 16. It says, and while he lingered, the men laid hold upon his hand, and upon the hand of his wife, and upon the hand of his two daughters, and Yah being merciful unto him, and they brought him forth and set him out of the city. And it came to pass that when they had brought them forth abroad, in other words, got them outside the city, and he said, look, escape for your life, don't even look behind you, neither stay you in the plain, escape to the mountain, lest you be consumed. And Lot said unto them, oh, nope, can't do it, I can't live. I'm just being honest with you. I know you're trying to save my life, but I can't do it. I'm not going to make it up to the mountains. It says, behold, now thy servant hath found grace in thy sight, and thou hast magnified thy mercy, which thou hast showed unto me in saving my life. I cannot escape to the mountain, lest some evil take me and I die. So he was afraid to go to the mountains. He was afraid that some evil was going to overtake him, lest he die. Now, of course, he was being protected by the angels, but here is my point. There were other places in the earth, as we know, where there were men, but yet and still the daughters of Lot, man, they like, hey, let's get him drunk, and we're going to go ahead and we are going to conceived seed of our own fathers. And so there it is. There's incest, which came about by means of the male, in this case, being overcome by wine. If he had not have been so drunk, he would have said, "No, y'all got to be out of your mind. Ain't nobody, I ain't doing, what would you, I ain't doing that with y'all. You got to be out of your mind." But because he was drunk, they could then, override whatever it was that he was going to say, and they could have their way with him. Well, there's another scripture I want to bring about. This comes to us from the wisest man on the planet. What does he say? Well, in Proverbs, he says it's about wine, right? And you can apply this to Jack Daniels or your favorite Ripple, whatever it is. Wine is a mocker, a strong drink is raging. Strong drink is raging, and whosoever is deceived thereby is not wise. Now, again, is it a sin to drink alcohol? No, it is not a sin to drink alcohol. In fact, we drink alcohol as a part of the Passover. For those that do celebrate Passover, there are 4 cups of wine that are going to be drunk if you follow the Seder for Passover, right? And there's other festivals and other times where you drink wine, all right? So it is not something that is prohibited. It's just that when an individual is so sloppy drunk that they don't know what they are doing, then hey, then it is definitely wrong. Now, to add balance to this, please understand, I am saying that it is okay for us to drink. And yes, even if you did get drunk, the Most High would not say you have sinned, because there is no scripture for that. However, the only prohibition against drinking and being able to enter into the Holy of Holies and to do ministry, that is the thing that we are prohibited to do. We cannot do that. That is something that we are not to do. And so we are admonished, hey, if you have drunk, then don't minister. Do not minister under the influence of alcohol, right? Let's continue here, because he says that, you know what, drinking and all of that, you got to be careful with it. This is all this verse is saying. You got to be careful with it. It's not saying that it's a sin, but it's saying you got to be careful with it, right? And not be deceived thereby. Let's look at Proverbs 23, 29 through 35. I'm not going to read the whole thing. Okay, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I am going to just hit a couple of verses in it. Notice what it reads here. Who has woe? Who has sorrow? Who has contentions and babbling and wounds without cause? In other words, like you've been beat up for no reason. Who's got redness of eyes? Those who tarry a long time at wine, and those who have an alcoholic disposition, because they seek wine, they dwell at wine, they drink. 9 o'clock in the morning, they're drinking, right? Like someone said, hey, beer, it's not just for breakfast anymore. You're in the wrong place. If that's your mentality, then you're in the wrong place, right? They that tarry along at wine, they that go to seek mixed wine. In other words, they're going to find a different concoction. They just can't wait. Ooh, It's kind of like in the movie. What was that? Was it the Second Fridays or no? It was another movie where, oh my goodness, what's his name? Mike Epps played one of the characters in the movies, and there's a scene in there where the younger sister was bigger than the other sister, and basically she was like a bouncer, right? It looked like she could really fight. But they were highlighting the fact that she absolutely loved food and loved to eat. And it's a funny scene in the movie because she says, like very randomly, and the new Twinkies come out today, and they gonna have sprinkles. They gonna have sprinkles on. I mean, who keeps up with whether or not the new Twinkies are, I mean, who puts that on their calendar? The new Twinkies are coming out today, Well, if a person does come out with something like that and say, hey, I'm going to put this on my calendar when the new Hostess Twinkies are coming out, because I really love to, I just got this thing for Hostess Twinkies. If you're that way about something, then you are obsessed. And when it comes to wine and drinking, if you're going out and just, I need a, I'm going to get sloppy drunk with this now, this concoction. Well, that is not the thing to do. Again, the Most High doesn't mind if you drink wine. It says that wine makes the heart merry. And it is also for those, if a person is down in spirits, it's for them to kind of cheer them up a little bit. But it is not to be taken advantage of. It's not something to be harped upon and like, oh, I'm going to just drink. No, that is not what the Most High has in store for us. The Most High doesn't want you to do anything that takes you outside of your mind, right? He doesn't want you to do anything that takes you outside of your right thinking, which takes us into other areas, right? We could talk about any illegal substance or any substance that would take you out of your right mind. I would say that while many may say it's not a sin, I would agree. You can't find the scripture to say that it's sin, but you don't want to do it because it takes you outside of your mind, right? You don't want to do it. You don't want to do it. You don't ever want to let your guard down so low that anything can happen to you and you wake up in another place. This is not what the Most High desires. This is not the Most High wants. And I want to make sure that you understand that I'm not giving a license for us to just be wild and debase and so forth and so on. But again, to add the balance and to stand upon the word of the Most High, if you should get drunk, then the Most High does not say that you have sinned. However, you should know that you have done something that is not the wisest thing to do, and you could have been taken advantage of, right? So let's be wise, and I'm going to say, while I'm just going to hit just a little bit more of this. Hold on. Because I'm reading these verses here, and there's something that I do want you to see. These are also the effects of wine, right? And it's back in the day, we used to laugh at this, right? We used to laugh at this because we used to always say that, if you're in a bar and you're drinking, by the end of the night, whoever you thought was ugly before is I mean, whoever you thought was ugly, they're not going to be ugly by the time you get to the end of the night, but all them drinks you done had in you, okay? There's been many who have woke up next to a bona fide, license-carrying booger wolf, and they owe it all. What did what's his name? Oh man, Jamie Foxx. What did Jamie Foxx say? Blame it on the alcohol, right? Blame it on the alcohol. Well, yeah. Notice what it reads here in the scriptures. It says that they tarry long at the wine. See, ugly folks start looking real beautiful the more you drink, right? And they drinking too, so they thinking the same thing about you. You looking cuter and cuter the more they drink. It says, look not upon the wine when it is red. They done mix it with something. They done spiked it with something. When it gives its color in the cup, when it moves itself aright. Now, wait, I need you to see this because I need you to understand this. I'm even going to highlight this. This is denoting a very strong drink, and I know this for a fact. Now, you may ask, well, okay, Moray, how do you know this? Okay. I'm going to answer you because the only drink that I've ever seen that moves itself, okay, was, these people were from either Lithuania or someplace like that, someplace, Transylvania, I don't know where they were from, right? But they had this stuff in this bottle. And this stuff was called Slivovitz. I ain't never heard of Slivovitz a day in my life, right, until then. The Slivovitz was in the glass, And he said, watch this. He poured it in the glass. I kid you not, for the first time in life, I saw the alcohol climb up the glass. I had never seen anything like that in my life. It was moving all by itself. Okay? And that was some doggone strong alcohol. And what I'm telling you is when the scriptures say here that when it moves itself aright, you are talking about some strong, high octane, double digit octane that is listen, you drink that, that's that stuff that they call like gut rot, right? It's just nothing but pure alcohol. He says, look, stay away from it. And rightfully so. Stay away from it. Notice what it says and what it reads in verse number 32. At the last, it's going to bite you like a serpent. That strong stuff, it's going to bite you like a serpent, and it's going to sting like an adder. And look at what it reads in verse number 33. Your eyes shall behold strange women, and thine heart shall utter perverse things. And them strange women gonna get to looking all right by the time you get done with that strong drink. And notice what it reads. Your heart is going to utter perverse things. You're going to talk out of your head. You're not going to know what you're talking about. Again, this comes from you being out of your mind with alcohol. Yea, thou shalt be as he that lies down in the midst of the sea, or as he that lies upon the top of a mast. You're going to be everywhere. You're going to be floating everywhere. The room is not standing still. The room is turning, right? And notice what he's going to brag about. They have hit me or struck me, and I'm sorry, they have stricken me, shalt thou say, and I was not sick. They have beaten me, and I felt it not. When shall I awake? I will seek it yet again. Ooh, that was so much fun. I got beat up, and I didn't even feel it. I mean, how crazy, how stupid is that, right? Ooh, I got beat up, and I didn't even feel it. Ooh, let's do that again. Right? And so it's just one of those things where I have to say that we know, and there's other scriptures that I could get into, but I also want to get into Genesis. Let's go here right now to Genesis, the 4th chapter, and let's begin to talk about Genesis, the 4th chapter. So, bottom line of it is it a sin to drink? No. Is it a sin to even get drunk? No, it's not, but it is not the advised thing to do. I have to stand upon Scripture. Scripture says that we are not to drink when we minister, right? And so I read that Scripture for you before, and so long story short, we're going to go ahead and we're going to get into Genesis 4. All right, so here we go. Now we dig into Bereshit chapter 4, or Genesis chapter 4. And let's begin with this, because this reads that Adam knew Eve, his wife. Adam knew Eve, his wife. And you know what I need to do? Let me go back real quick and let me just check and see if there were any questions about what I just spoke on. And KOI Oklahoma's in the house. All right. Also, it's all good. All right. And you're welcome, my brother. Bavakasha, you are welcome. All right. KOI Oklahoma, peace and blessings to you. All right. So let's dig into, I don't think there's any questions, so let's dig into Genesis chapter 4. And let's start that, and we may not finish it since we started so late, but let's go ahead and let's dig into Genesis chapter 4. Notice what it reads here in Bereshit chapter 4. And Adam knew Eve, And Adam knew Eve, his wife, and she conceived and bare Cain, and said, I have gotten a man from Yahweh. I've gotten a man from the Lord. Now, of course, we understand what it means when it says, and Adam knew Eve, his wife. We're talking about carnal knowledge. We're talking about something that's called carnal knowledge. In other words, carnal meaning flesh, knowledge meaning knowing. Basically, it's like, do you know someone's body? Do you know someone's flesh? Do you know someone? Well, that's what it's intimating. But I need you to understand that this goes even deeper, because when it reads that Adam knew Eve, his wife, it's talking about knowing by means of an experience. It's talking about the kind of knowledge that's experiential. And it is the same kind of knowledge that was embraced when they ate from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. In other words, it was an experiential knowledge, which means that they had to experience good and they had to experience evil. That was the contract that they signed at the tree when they ate from the fruit of the knowledge of good and evil. So they actually were agreeing to experience good and evil. But here we see that Adam experienced, he physically experienced to the point of having a deep, profound, and intimate understanding of his wife on a very intimate physical level. And it was to the point to where she conceived and she bare Cain and said, I have gotten a man from the Lord. I've gotten a man from Yahweh. Now, if I go to the Hebrew here, we see here where she says, and by the way, I've heard preachers preach all the time and say, well, you see, Cain, his name means to strike, and so in Genesis, the 3rd chapter, 15 verse, see, Eve thought Cain was going to be the one to strike the serpent's head, so that's why she named him Cain. No, that is not true. That is not why she was naming her son. That's not why she named her son Cain. Not at all. You find it right here, because basically what she's saying here is, she says, and she bare, okay, what the led, she conceived and she bore, okay, et Cain, Cain, okay, what omer. Notice what she says here. I'm sorry. Let me translate it for you. So she bore Cain, right? She conceived and she bore Cain, and she says, notice what she says here. Kaniti, I have obtained, right? I have obtained. Like in modern Hebrew, the word kana means to buy, to get, to obtain. It even means to buy. You can buy something in the store, kana. And so she says, I have obtained, I have received, I have gotten a man from the Most High. And she really did say here that she received a man, Ish, et Yahweh. She received a man from the Lord, from the Most High. And she did not say, well, because he, his name means to strike, and he gonna strike this, No, it had nothing to do with the serpent of chapter 3. It had nothing to do with that. This was simply Chava thanking and being very thankful to the Most High for giving her a son. Okay? I imagine to them it was somewhat miraculous, because looking at it in context, it would have been the first pregnancy, it would have been the first, labor pains, so forth and so on. So it must have been an ordeal for her. But Adam knew Eve, his wife. They had carnal knowledge together, right? And she bare Cain. And she said, I've gotten a man from Yahweh, from the Most High. And she again bare his brother, Abel. And Abel was a keeper of the sheep, but Cain was a tiller of the ground. Now, two different people, two different mindsets, and two different technologies at work. I will say that again. Two different people, two different mindsets, and two different technologies at work. Here we are. Well, okay, Abel was a keeper of sheep. If you are a keeper of sheep, then you have the ability to wander, okay, and you can go from place to place. Abel was a keeper of sheep. You can be transitory. You can, be here this day and go someplace else the next day. But notice what it reads here. While Abel was a keeper of sheep, it was Cain that was a tiller of the ground. So wait a minute. This is why this is conflicting in a sense, only because in order for you to be a tiller of the ground, you have to be stationary. You cannot be every place wandering here and there if you are tending to a garden. You have to be stationary. So what does that mean? You have to have a permanent place of dwelling, which is a different technology than that of having a tent. A tent is made to be portable. A tent is made to be moved. It is not meant to be stable. It's not meant to be a long-term kind of a deal. You just pull up a tent here, put up a tent here, do what you got to do for how many ever days, be there, whatever. Okay, sheep want to graze someplace else. Then you move down the road and you can literally keep moving. But when you are a tiller of the ground, you then are stationary, okay? Now, I want you to see something here that basically is what I call the flip-flop. What is the flip-flop? Well, here we understand that they are reversing, if you will, the roles, and they're reversing the order of what is accepted. This leads me to believe that these passages were written and these passages were placed here by a people who were nomadic in their history. In other words, they were the kind of people that wandered from place to place. So therefore, their hero, in this case, their martyred victim, ends up being an individual that was, of course, a keeper of sheep, someone just like them, someone that was nomadic, someone that was, tending to animals just like they would have been, okay? Here's the flip-flop that I'm talking about, because Cain was a tiller of the ground. Okay, again, you've got to be stationary in order to be a tiller of the ground. You have to be able to have roots. Now, please keep in mind, the first occupation that we see in the Tanakh of there being one who is agriculturally oriented is his daddy, Adam. Okay? And by the way, I know we say Adam, but really his name was not Adam. Adam just simply means mankind, right? But the first person that we see with the occupation of tilling the ground was Adam. Now, when it comes to Cain, notice it becomes somewhat unfavorable, if you will. Because now Cain was a tiller of the ground, and in the process of time, Cain brought of the fruit of the ground an offering unto Yahweh, and Abel, he also brought of the firstlings of his flock and of the fat thereof, and Yah had respect unto Abel and to his offering. Now, this says kind of tongue-in-cheek, see, the Most High wanted animals instead of wanting vegetation, okay? So that's the preferred thing. So we're finding ourselves distancing ourselves from the garden and from Eden. The more we go into these neighboring chapters, okay, and even into the beginning of the patriarchal period, we're going farther and farther away from Eden and farther away from the preferred, the divine, that which we could gather that the Most High truly set in motion himself and therefore would have liked. Okay? What you see here is really the ideas and the superimpositions of men that are making their way into the mindsets and into the cultural memory of the people. This is what is happening here. They're getting away from Eden. They're going farther away from Eden, just like a boat that wasn't tied to the dock. It's starting to drift away. And now we're starting to get other things into play here that's taken us away from the motif and the paradigm that the Most High gave us back in Genesis chapters 1 and chapters 2. So as we dig in here just a little bit further, we see that Cain's offering, for whatever reason, it was not accepted by the Most High. Now, we can surmise that, Cain's heart wasn't right, or he just gave the Most High a bunch of dirt and a few weeds, and the Most High was like, I don't like that. Well, see, we can say that, we can surmise, we can guess, but we really do not know, right? We really do not know. But the Most High thought of it as being very important, to the point to where he has a conversation with Cain. Now, I've mentioned this many times, but notice here, and Yah said unto Cain, boy, what is wrong with you? What in the world is your problem? Why in the world do you have, it's kind of like when your parents, when your parents said something and you didn't like it, and you made a face or something. I mean, if you were that bold, like in my household, man, you wouldn't dare make a face in front of my mama. I mean, you would be backhand so quickly. I mean, you would have thought that, that the Most High backhand, he was like, oh, man. It was just one of those things that you didn't do. Kids have gotten bolder nowadays. They'll talk back to their parents, oh, not in our household. But just like a parent would say, well, you better straighten your face up. What's wrong with you? Well, the Most High is checking Cain and saying, what's going on here? What's wrong with you? Why is your face like this? And he says, look, if you do what's right, if you do well, don't you know you're going to be accepted? It's going to be a come up for you. You're going to be good. High fives for everyone. But if you do not do what is good, if you don't do what's well, then sin lies at the door like an animal crouching to jump on you, right? But here's the operative clause, and here's a very important clause right here. And unto thee shall be his desire, and thou shalt rule over him. You're going to rule over sin that is crouching like an animal. You are going to rule over him. You're going to rule over the sin. You're going to rule over it. Okay? Now, just because this clause is here, it really does signify that there is no such thing as original sin. Okay? There is no such thing as original sin. Now, I know I got to mention this. Some have said, well, see, really, it's not talking about no sin. No, it's talking about the fact that Cain would rule over Abel. Yeah. See, the Lord is telling him, if you do what's right, I'm going to let you rule over your brother Abel. No, he is not. He's not saying that at all, because Cain was the firstborn, and he would have automatically had the right of the firstborn. He was already the firstborn, and so there's no need for him to try to rule over his brother. He was already ruling over his brother. So out of this, what we see is that the him that it's talking about here is actually the sin itself, which means then that Cain was able to rule over sin after his mama and daddy bit the apple and supposedly fell from grace and supposedly, was forever marred and scarred and, fell from glory and so forth. No. That is a Catholic invention. Original sin is a Catholic invention, okay? And we see here where the Most High told Cain, you have the ability to rule over sin. You have the ability to do it. All you have to do is make the right choice. You must make the right choice. And this is reiterated in many of the scriptures that we would lay out before you, where it reads and it joins to this thought that can't nobody else die for you. You got to make the right decision. You got to make the right choice. You have to, like Spike Lee said, you got to do the right thing. You have to be righteous before the Most High, okay? That is what gets rid of sin. Not you praying under your breath, Lord, forgive me. No, we used to do that, when I was young in church, and we thought that would, make everything magically delicious. Just say, Lord, forgive me. And that would make it, A-okay. Forget about a change of heart. Forget about a change of mind. Forget about you actually doing the right thing and allowing that right thing to cover and atone for the wrong thing. Okay? which is what you find in Ezekiel, the 18th chapter, verses 21 through 23. That's what you find. The Most High says, I will forget about your sin. I will not even, it'll not even be mentioned again unto you. Okay? But in your righteousness that you have done, not believed unto, in your righteousness that you have done, you shall live therein. So, I don't have time to read too much more of this. I'm only going to read just a couple more verses, and then I'm going to hear from you. How about that? So let's dig back in, because we know what happened here, right? We don't have to get too much into this, and we'll pick it up here next week, Yah willing. We'll pick it up here next week, because we know what happens where Cain ends up killing his brother. And if you look here, after they went into the field,
it's 8 o'clock.
Okay, Cain ends up slaying his brother, and then he has another conversation with the Most High, but then this time it is different. We will pick up here next time, Yah willing, and we will continue with Bereshit chapter 4. And we will bring out some other nuances. We'll bring out some other things that are very important to understand when it comes to Genesis chapter 4. And we'll even dig definitely deeper than what we did today. With that being the case, let me tiptoe into the chat room. Let's do this. I'm going to get whatever questions you have, and then we're going to be out of here. How about that?
Hi, I'm Melchior Uriel, and I'm so delighted to meet you. I'm glad that you stopped by. I'm glad that you're curious, and I'm glad that you clicked on the video.
All right, we are definitely back. Okay, let's check and see what questions we have. Let me scroll up. We do have a couple of questions. It's all good, says, I used to teach those lies from the pulpit. It's a pit, all right. Yeah, it is, my brother, it is. I'm just so pleased to meet others who were preachers in the church. I'd love to have a conversation with you, my brother. I'd love to have a conversation with you. All right, so let me do this. Okay, Christine Croning asked, overindulgence can be considered sinful. Yes, it can be considered sinful, and it is one of those things where, it's like, okay, I've heard it explained to me this way. Water is good for you, and it'll bring you life in moderation. Too much water and you drown, okay? Same thing with air. Air allows you to breathe, but if there is too much wind, as in a tornado, you could suffocate in even a tornado, right? So everything has to be, and everything has to have its own balance. If we're out of balance, then yeah, problems arise, we run into issues, and then of course, we need to be rescued, we need to be saved because we are out of balance. And it's just one of those things that's true of all of life. And I know people pick on alcohol, they pick on other things, but we need balance in everything. Notice the balance that is exemplified in Proverbs where it says, you know what, there is a time for everything under the sun. There is a time. Hey, there's a time to laugh. There's a time to cry. There's a time to embrace. And there's a time to refrain from embracing. And he basically tells you there's a time for literally everything under the sun, right? There's a time for everything under the sun, and you need to make sure that you are living in balance. We get portraits of this every day because we get light and darkness, right? You go from being hungry to eating something and being full. I mean, there's balance all around us. And thank you very much, Penny. She says, the Most High bless you. You are loved. Thank you very much, Penny. You are loved as well. Let me get any other questions here. Let me scroll up and see if I can. Let's see here. Yeah, you're right. It's all good. Says, if I had been taught Torah in the church, I would have understood original sin was a falsehood and so much more. Very true. Very true. And I'm so glad that I found Bereshit 4 and 7, because that by itself outrules and puts a hole in the head of original sin. Let's see. Yes, you are to be the masters of sin. Yes, you are to be the master of sin. It is not to be there's not to be anything that reigns over you. Remember in Bereshit chapter 1 verses 25 through 27, you are the one that has the dominion. Sin doesn't have dominion, okay? So, we rule over our passions, our desires. Now, I'm going to tell you, I had an experience last night. I had man. I had to seriously put on some self-control. My grandsons ordered a pizza for them and had the nerve to get some of them garlic knots, the garlic bread knot thingies. Oh my goodness. I ate one of them. And remember back in the day, you saw that commercial, Cuckoo for Cocoa Pops, and then whatever thing that was, went bouncing all over the place. That's the way I felt. That thing was so good. And something within me was like, go get another one. And I'm like, man, I ain't gonna do it. I was tempted to, though, but I did not. And so I stand victorious here tonight over the garlic nuts. The point of it is, we do have to have balance. Too much of a good thing. Out of balance, yeah, it's never good for you. Repentant and saved. Hey, repentant and saved. Glad you're here. She says, I'm still not understanding carnal knowledge. Is that intimacy? I feel silly for asking. No. I purposefully said it that way to make it somewhat generic and make it kind of okay for conversation. But if I were to be just point blank with you, if I were to be point blank with you, yeah, girl, I'm talking about two people coming together physically, if you know what I mean. Yes, I'm talking about that level of intimacy. And so that is the kind of carnal knowledge I'm talking about. And it's the kind of carnal knowledge that people reference when they use terms like carnal knowledge. So that being the case, yeah, that's exactly what we're talking about. And again, it's a knowledge of intimacy that deals in the physical plane, right? So with that being the case, let me see if we have any other questions. Do we have any other? I don't think we have any other questions, y'all. So I'll tell you what, please smash the like button. Do smash upon it. Yes, punish that like button. And do share a video if you don't mind. And also, you know what? Subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Okay? If you've been here once, twice, go on, you want to come in, you want to join us, just go on ahead and subscribe. We'll let you, okay? Hey, if you love the Most High and want to follow the laws, statutes, and commandments, yeah, then we will definitely accept you. And remember the one rule that we have: we will not bite you unless you bite first. So I think that that is just about it. With that being the case, we've talked about a lot in this past hour, and I want to go ahead and just say to each and every one of you that while on one hand it's true that the Most High does allow us to enjoy ourselves with an alcoholic beverage, we're not to overdo it, okay? You're to always be in a state where you have your right mind and where you keep yourself in a place where you can make decisions and make the right decisions quickly. That being the case, you want to make sure that you stay inside the lines, right? And again, even though and I don't want to add to the scriptures, I must follow Deuteronomy 4 and 2. I must not add to it at all. So I will tell you this, that it is not written that if you do get drunk that it is a sin. However, we do see in the Tanakh where many things have happened. Now, of course, you know that not all those things happened every time someone got drunk, but just the drunkenness was used as an opportunity to bring about those desired ends, and so you need to be careful. Need to be definitely careful. Well, with that being the case, I want to say, in coming to Genesis 4, we see a number of different things. We see where Adam knew his wife on an intimate level, and they bear children. And we also notice that there is a changing preference. Now we're getting into the kind of lifestyle that's appeasing to those who would be nomadic, meaning that they travel from place to place with their animals, with their herds, and they have no particular place to call home, but they wander about. That is different than someone who is agriculturally oriented. And so we could surmise that there's something at play here, and we'll talk about it more as time goes on. But we're going to get into a different part of the story as Cain has turned the corner and done the wrong thing, and so he will bear his own consequences. We'll get into that, Yah willing, on next week. And so for now, for those of you that may not have any other questions or any other comments, you can always email me, okay, at my email address, and I will definitely address your questions and your comments. So peace and blessings to each and every one of you. I love you. I love you. I love you, my family, my friends, my people. May the Most High bless you. May He keep you. May He smile upon you. And may the rest of your week be blessed above and beyond measure. May He smile on you and bless you. May the windows of heaven open. And may He pour you out a blessing that you do not have room enough to receive. I'm Malky Uriel, and this has been How to Hebrew, Genesis chapter 4, and alcohol. Yeah, we talked about alcohol. Love you too, Chanai Israel. Bless you, my sister. Bless you and your husband. Glad that you, glad that you stopped by. I'm glad that you're here. And, yeah. Peace and blessings to each and every one of you. I am out. And, I think it's time. We'll see you later. May the Most High bless you. Okay, as soon as I find the right button to press. There we go. Shalom.